What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Matt Mash Wrestling Podcast live on YouTube. I'm your host for tonight, Ayla Aaron Lloyd. I'm joined with my guy in the bed, X2 Fly, Eric Trembiggy. How you doing, babe?
Doing good, doing good.
I'm glad to see you. Glad I missed you a lot. So we took last week off, and as always, subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, and Podbean. And to Ringside Club, use code MMAS, save 10% off your order. So missed a week last week. I didn't think there was anything really worth noteworthy to talk about. I think there's a lot to talk about this week. So in our little week off, did you watch anything?
Only thing worth mentioning is I've only seen part one, but I did watch the Who Killed WCW, the first one of the new Vice series.
Yeah, I watched both episodes myself. Oh, were you done?
Yeah. How did you catch the second one? I tried watching it literally like an hour ago.
I literally, because the first episode they put up on YouTube, A&E's YouTube channel did.
Yeah.
So today I kind of like browsed around and I found it on Daily Motion. So that's how I got to watch it.
Sweet.
Because I had wanted to watch it to bring it up because I did watch episode 1 last week and I wanted to make sure I was caught up on episode 2. But I think it was really well done, especially episode 1, because we talked about this all the time with these documentaries. It's kind of like revisionist history at this point. But in all the WCW like fall documentaries or anything about stories about WCW, the one thing that, correct me if I'm wrong, they never really hit on is that Sting finish with Hogan at Starrcade. Like I never really heard anybody make a big deal about that as far as like the downfall and basically who killed WCW, how that was like a turning point for them. So I did find that. Go ahead.
I think in the Monday Night Wars series, I think they talk about it a little bit there, but not as much.
Yeah, because I know they talked about the Brett involvement in that, and that's something that I never really heard them bring up. I know that I know the one thing they did harp on was when the feed cut at Halloween Havoc. I do know that for a fact. They brought that up, and that's always brought up. But the Sting Hogan thing, I don't recall really ever being brought up. But I thought it was really well done, and the second episode is really good too because now they're talking about they're talking about like the business side of it about like Turner and Eric Bischoff taking his leave in late '99 and stuff like that. So it's really really good. I'm really enjoying it. Rock's doing a great job. And episode 3 is going to hit on my favorite time, 2000 all over again. So we're going to visit Bash the Beach 2000. So that's what the next week's going to harp on that in the Vince Russo era. So I'm really looking forward to that. Episode 2, about the business of it. Talked about the creation of Thunder and Bret Hart and a little bit about Goldberg and how basically Time Warner was taking WCW's money and allocated to other places within the company. So it's a really good watch. I highly recommend it. And I also watched NXT Battleground. I'll give it a slobber knocker, but my one thing it was with watching the show. I know it's a pay-per-view or a premium live event, but the Apex took away from it because I thought like for the most part like you can kind of tell like it was a big fight, a big show, but where they were didn't really do anything for the event. I thought the women showed out. I think Roxanne and Jordan Grace was the match of the night. The ladder match I thought was fun. Kalani Jordan getting that when I could literally see any of those women winning that match. And Obafemi continues to impress me all the time. He's awesome. And when he gets his one-on-one match with Wes Lee, I can't wait because I thought that Joe Coffey was just in the way in that match. But always impressed with Obafemi. And main event was just mid. You know, I didn't care for it too much. Ethan Page, he did a good job carrying the match. But as much as we love Trick Williams, we know he's still pretty green for the most part. But overall, pretty solid show. I wouldn't go out your way to watch it. If you did just watch, I would think Roxanne and Jordan Grace, definitely a good match. Did you see anything else?
I did watch the majority of the show. I did miss the tag title match and the women's ladder match. I only got to see some highlights from it. Cool to see Kalani win and be the first champion, especially since I watched the first half of Night 1 of Mania with her and Mello at Suplex. So that's pretty cool.
Jealous still. Still jealous. And don't ever bring Sexy Red back. Don't y'all ever do that. Because I don't think I told you this. So when that Drake album came out, as always, the radio's on. So Leah picks up on that song. Bend your ass over. Yeah. So because it was on the radio. So like one day she's just like, handling your waist. Don't you ever do that shit. So no Sexy Red. So like don't bring her back, WWE. You're not getting away with that one. But it was a solid show, like I said. So we have Clash at the Castle coming up this Saturday. Thoughts on the build, and you looking forward to anything?
And I'm not trying to sound pessimistic, but whenever these shows are during the day, I have a hard time getting excited for them. I guess Drew and Priest, I foresee being a good match, but like besides that, I'm not really looking forward to anything else per se. I mean, I'm gonna try to watch some of it, at least live. I'm gonna be busy like while it's on, but nothing really has got me excited about it, honestly.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat because a lot like we talked about going into the King and Queen of the Ring. I'm not sure if we're just getting old and time's flying by, but these pay-per-views are kind of like three weeks, not even a little over a month apart. And I do appreciate that it's not like the same runaround. It's like okay, we're gonna get a women's title match, a women's world title match at King Queen of the Ring, and just get a women's title match at Clash at the Castle. So we're not getting like flooded cards. So everything is getting more time for stories to be told. So I do appreciate that aspect. But a lot of the stories, they're not continued stories. They're like new things going along, and some stuff's being saved for later times. So when it comes to the card, it's just like, oh, okay, well, we'll see where this goes and where it leads to. Before you get to Clash of the Castle, I did want to bring this up. So RIP Ricochet. Braun Breaker destroyed him. The rumor going around that that day was that Ricochet, this is going to be Ricochet's last night because he allegedly isn't re-signing with the company. And I think they played their cards really well because the night's going on and we're like, okay, what's going to happen? And then Braun Breaker destroys Dragunov and then later destroys Ricochet. And they played it perfectly because you involve Samantha, which was perfect to do, and then she runs out and she's only missing one match, and which was the main event. So
it gave Pat McAfee a fun spot to.
Yeah, that was fun because at first I thought that was Saxton, and then they turned to it. I was like, oh, they gave it to McAfee, so I thought that was fun. So the rumor is going around that he's probably headed to AEW. I'm not sure exactly when his contract expires, but where do you think he's going, and where do you think he's going, and what do you want to see him do?
I mean, I'm not going to anticipate him. I'm going to anticipate him to go to AEW because I assume he owns his name.
Mm-hmm.
He's young enough where it's some good name value, and then he can do crossover stuff. They do shows with New Japan, with CMLL. There's ways we're going to see them be involved with other stuff. I I don't see him doing like a real like free agency thing. I think he's gonna be a good signing somewhere. On the topic of Ricochet, overall, how mishandled do you consider his run, if at all?
I'll say this. Was he mishandled at times? Yes. But do I think he was ever going to be world champion? No. So, like I said, he had his moments. Former IC champion, former US champion under Vince. And then when Triple H took over, he was
second ever NXT North American champion.
Yep, second North American champion. So he was the IC champion, US champion under Vince. Under Vince, he wasn't utilized that well at all. When Triple H came in, he had the Logan Paul stuff, and he was featured a little bit more on television. But as far as WWE wise and what WWE is, I don't think he was ever going to be world champion. It's like he was never the best talker in the world. Unbelievable athlete, unbelievable in the ring, checks all the boxes. But for what WWE is, I never thought that he would have been the world champion in that company. He did have that little feud with Brock for the title, but that was just pretty much a squash. Nobody remembers that. I'm sure you're really, that really happened, but it did. But I think he
challenged Brock for the belt.
Yeah, one of the Saudi shows.
Oh, geez.
And I think he pretty much
red belt, black belt, which one?
Red belt. So I'm pretty sure that he reached his ceiling, and under the Triple H regime, he was doing really well. He had that feud with Logan Paul, which was really good, and the stuff he was doing recently with Dragunov and Braun was actually really good. And like I said, the guy is a phenomenal across the board. I just never thought that he would be the world champion. Could he be the Intercontinental champion and be in a prominent role again within the company? Sure, but was he ever going to be the world champion? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much every statement you just said there is kind of what I've kind of been debating with people. Was there times he wasn't used? Yeah, sure. But just touched on the three main important mid-card titles. He held them all. I'd argue, go back. I feel like an important stat of each one of those reigns as well. The NXT North American champion, second one ever. I know it's not the first, but it's the second. He was the first person really feuding with Adam Cole after Adam Cole won it. He had some great matches with the thing. Goes on to be United States champion when he's on the main roster. And if you ask me, he gave AJ his best feud while AJ was U.S. champion. Because remember how disappointed when, we love AJ, we love Kevin Owens, but, their matches were a letdown. When AJ feuded with Ricochet, it was actually really entertaining. His Continental title reign, I would say, is somewhat forgetful, but we could always associate he's the one that dropped the belt to Gunther. Outside of that, I'd say if Strowman didn't get hurt, he probably would have got a tag title reign. You brought up Logan Paul. Yeah, he was trusted to, have a feud with a part-time celebrity. It's kind of a big deal. Shows the trust in him. So overall, I feel like there's a lot of classic. Everyone can't be the world champion. Everyone can't be that guy in the main event picture. There's a lot of people that we look back from our childhood that were in the mid card, great Intercontinental champions, people that, never made it to the top, but we still think about them 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years later. And I feel like he checks those boxes. So, if he wants to go do more with his career, doesn't think there's more that they would use him for WWE, happy for him, all the best. But overall, I don't really think there was a huge ball dropped with him.
Oh, no. No, I believe me and you were there for that AJ match for the U.S. title too. I believe that was at Extreme Rules 19. Yeah, but yeah. So
short hair Michelle.
Well, actually, he is a world champion in my heart because he has Samantha.
How can we forget?
And I can't forget the coveted Speed Championship either. That he won and dropped to Andrade. But yeah, for me personally. My personal opinion, I think he should go to Impact and do kind of Impact and work indies on a Matt Cardona level. I'm not saying he has the personality of a Matt Cardona, but I think he was one of those guys that can go to a smaller promotion and kind of tear it up everywhere else. But I do think it's clear that he's going. Go ahead.
So, formerly Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth is doing something like that, not signed. He's doing New Japan. He's doing a bunch of indies. He's doing TNA. Mustafa Ali is doing, New Japan, doing TNA. The thing both of those guys can cut promos. Ricochet's not really a promo guy, so that's why I feel like he's best off just going to AEW.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing. As you know, the AEW starter pack, when you get there, you're going to be in a prominent position. Now, I did look up when his contract expires. It said sometime next month. That was per Sportskeeda. So we shouldn't expect him at Forbidden Door, because that could be possible with a TNT title ladder match coming up. And I believe is Jeff Cobb had like a mystery opponent or something like that from what I heard. But it's not going to be Ricochet.
Yeah. I mean, well, that would be cool. Except that's 2 weeks away.
So I know, because I looked up when it was going to expire before I can give that like full.
We can see him in the Owen Hart tournament.
Isn't that culminating at Forbidden Door?
No, I believe it's.
I know it usually did, unless they changed it this year. But I think it's clear that he's going to go to AEW. Now, as we know with AEW, you come in.
It's the third one thus far, but it's been different kind of every year. I think the first one was Forbidden Door. I don't think last year was.
Okay, but we all know the formula in AEW. You come in, you're made a big deal. After that, it's whatever. It is what it is. What it is. You challenge for a title, and then after that, it is what it is. I know him and Ospreay. They want to go. They want to have their matches. You got to see him and Swerve. Swerve had some words for him to see if he comes to AEW. So it's interesting to see. Tony Khan will do anything. He'll throw a bunch of money. If it's about money, Tony Khan will back up the truck for you. If it's about money versus WWE, but I think he's going to AEW. But my preference would be like the Nick Nemeth, the Mustafa Ali route, because I think he could have really good stuff in TNA, and I think he could really do a lot on the independent scene and be a big indie star as well. But I think the writing's on the wall that he will end up going to AEW.
Big far-fetched pitch, but since they're using some type of Lucha Underground characters in MLW, I'd be cool with him to go there if he can put the mask on.
Yeah. That's a part of him being independent. That would make sense because they have that connection with Lucha Underground. I know they use the characters like you just said, and bringing back Prince Puma would be fun. So that's another possibility. But dude has a ton of options. Even if he goes to AEW, he could still work Japan for the most part. But moving forward, Clash of the Castle Saturday. Damian Priest is going to defend the world title against Drew McIntyre. Who you got, and any thoughts?
Man, it's not easy to call. The whole hometown field really makes me want to give it to Drew, especially after he didn't beat Roman. Somewhat home field advantage. I don't really want to see Priest drop the belt yet. Hot potato. Drew wins and then drops back. I don't know. Punk and Drew don't need the belt at SummerSlam. I guess in a weird world, I could see it being a hot potato. I could see Drew winning it and then Priest winning it back. I'm going to go with Priest.
So the one thing about this is because Gunther's challenging the world champion at SummerSlam. And it's safe to assume that Punk is going to be cleared by SummerSlam. So like you said, Punk and McIntyre doesn't need the title, but if McIntyre wins, he wouldn't be facing Gunther. And I remember how invested I was in the last Clash at the Castle. Damn near crashed my mail truck watching that, listening to that thing. But it's a lot of intrigue here because McIntyre can't win here because we have Money in the Bank coming up in maybe probably 2.5, 3 weeks after this. And possibly he can get cashed in on before SummerSlam.
Or defend the belt. Defend
the belt, but I still think the cash-in thing is a possibility because I don't think Triple H is really going to take a title off of somebody like that in a month or play hot potato with it at this point. I don't think that. So it's interesting to see, especially with Judgment Day banned from ringside, and people keep running the idea of Punk getting involved, but if Punk gets involved, he's not going to get the reaction you would think because McIntyre is the hometown guy in this situation. So I don't think it's going to benefit Punk or that feud for Punk to interfere there. If this was in the States, fine. But in Glasgow, no.
Never say never. Show how much Punk hates him back.
Because it's just about the crowd reaction. If it was anywhere else, I'll be all for it. But I'm gonna go with Damian Priest to retain the title.
Okay, unanimous.
Yep. And before we move on for Judgment Day,
it's mullet season, baby.
You need to shave the beard and get the stash. At this point, just leave the stash because Liv Morgan is applying pressure. And I know you're not a big football guy, but anybody who knows football will understand this. She is sending the zero blitz. She is sending the house after this man. My God, was that perfect? Dom had the best seat in the house when she was on top of him. He had the best seat in the house. I was like, wow, this is good. This is really, really good.
He may be a one-time NXT North American champion and a former SmackDown Tag Champion, but he's had a hell of a career.
He sure has. I talk about this all the time, and I said this on the show. If one thing his dad would be very upset about him with is that he didn't keep kayfabe alive because everybody knows he's married in real life. But it's like, my God, this is perfect. Like her just waiting in the bunker where her legs on the table, and you can see the whole cheek. It's just like, and then she just like smoothly just slides the hotel room key on him, and he's just like acting like he's scared of it. And as men, I think we all can relate. There's been a point in life where a woman has thrown themselves at you. I don't know if there's been a point in life where a woman that looks like that has thrown themselves at anybody.
First month I was dating Andrea. Yeah, something a little similar, but
because like I said, she is applying all kinds of pressure. And how long does it take for Dom to crack?
25 minutes after. Excuse me, 25 minutes after Raw went off the air.
Because I'm not sure if you remember this, but in 2000, when Eddie cheated on China, GTV leaked the footage. I would love for GTV to leak the footage if he's capping. And then another thing about this is every week they advertise in that Fanatics convention. And this past Monday night, they announced that Liv Morgan is going to be there. And you know that
Rhea's already advertised for it.
Yes. And in Triple H's WWE, they kind of do these on-site things to build their storylines. They did it at the Rumble with AJ and LA Knight, or was it Elimination Chambers? One of the two. They did it with them there. They did it with Becky and Rhea on Ariel Helwani's show. So expect some kind of segment with them at the Fanatics Expo, especially if that's their first time seeing each other. And if Rhea's not cleared at SummerSlam, this has to go to WrestleMania. It just does. You can't pay this off anywhere else. You just can't. And I'm thinking Rhea might be ready by SummerSlam because Dom can't wait that damn long. And it's all about growth for Dom. So Dom wants to be called daddy. So it's all about growth for him. And actually, it's all about growth. And at the same time, Dom's the biggest heel in the company for a reason. And like we talked about, when Rhea got hurt, Rhea's going to return and be the biggest babyface. So whenever they had that match, Dom has to turn on Rhea then to get all his heat back. And Liv and Dom, they have to pull a Jamie Noble and Nydia makeout session. They got to sell this shit. They really do. They got to lay this one in.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am, because this is fantastic.
It could be a sin to say it's Cody Roman level where it's just, I can't wait to see what happens next. I can't wait to see what happens next.
This is fantastic. Now, the one match that we keep talking about building, and which has been built perfectly, and I think this is going to continue, it's Chad Gable challenging for the IC title against Sami Zayn. Who you got?
I would have loved it to happen in the States, but I'm going to keep calling on Chad.
So for me, I think that Gable wins at Money in the Bank in Montreal because of the whole Canada thing, Sammy being from Canada. So I think that's when he gets his win. And I think Otis finally turns here. And then on Raw Monday night, we get the formation of the new Alpha Academy with the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile. And then that will set Chad Gable up into the next stratosphere. He'll become the Intercontinental Champion then. So I'm going to go with Sami Zayn to win, but I think Chad Gable will end up winning that Money in the Bank.
If he keeps losing, I mean, he was in the triple threat match at the King show, and then what? He's going to lose in the singles and then get another opportunity. I just feel like it's too much. I feel like he's got to win it now.
Yeah, but the whole Otis thing gives them an out, I think. So that's why I think that's going to be the situation at Clash at the Castle. But I do think Chad Gable is no doubt the next Intercontinental Champion. We have an I Quit match for the WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles. It's not salmon, but the skies were blue. Thoughts and who you got?
Cody takes it. Much else to say? The Mark Henry homage was awesome, but
yeah, I think Cody retains too. And the one thing I liked about on SmackDown during the pull apart was the fact that they kept Corey Graves kept putting over how professional Cody is. And like Cody Rhodes like ready to snap and lose his mind because AJ Styles like really got to him like that. So I'm looking forward to the match. I kind of think we get I Quit matches way too much at this point because we already know the babyface isn't going to lose in the situation. But I'm going to go with Cody Rhodes as well. I'm interested to see how they get the I Quit out of AJ in this match. But I'm looking forward to that. Women's titles on the line. Piper Niven challenging Bayley. Thoughts and who you got?
My bad. Bayley take it.
Thoughts on her run?
Underwhelming just due to her not being featured.
Yeah, I agree. Not being featured, and plus she hasn't been face in like 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So everything we loved about Bayley was during her heel 4-year run, and she hasn't had anything really to go off of. Like the Tiffany thing, we thought we were going to get more out of that, but I think we're going to get more of that in the coming months because she's starting to hang around Nia a little bit now. So We'll see if Tiffany's at Money in the Bank and actually wins Money in the Bank because I do think Nia is going to beat Bayley or whoever the champion is at SummerSlam. But we'll have to actually see. But it's not Bayley's fault in this situation. There's just not much for her to do.
She won the Rumble and wasn't featured.
She was featured. She just had the whole damage control thing going on. She didn't have a bunch of matches, but it was story driven.
Yeah, there was a story there, but like she wasn't getting the time, and she wasn't being like featured on the advertisements or anything like that. They were focused more on every other title than that one, really.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then is that it for the card? No, triple threat match, women's tag titles. Bianca and Jade defending against Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, and Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. Who you got?
Can't take the titles off unless I heard a rumor that Bianca was injured, but I don't think that's the case. Unless she's injured, I'd see some wonky thing where like the redheads were to like pin Zoe to like change the titles and give Bianca time to rest. But unless she's not injured, there's no reason to take the belts off them.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Bianca and Jade to retain as well. I would like a straight feud with not Alba Fire and Isla Dawn for them because they were really good at NXT. I don't know why they can't even scratch TV time at this point. I really don't. They were really good, and it brings something else different to the TV.
After they lost those NXT tag titles to Ronda and Shayna, they've really never been used.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. But in NXT, they were really, really good. They could bring something different that we chronic craving on TV. Not actual wrestling, but actually character story driven work. So I'm interested to see if they actually get the nod going forward for a tag team title match against Bianca and Jade. Anything in AW land?
I mean, they're just continuing to build for Forbidden Door. That's 2 weekends away. I'm looking more forward to that show overall. Philly's Wheeler Yuta is back from injury. Last week they had a match against 4 representatives from CMLL, and it was the first time in a whole year that the BCC tagged together. Wheeler Yuta got that win, and then him and Claudio had what will probably be the last match against FTR for some time. Dax is out with an injury from the ladder match against the Bucks that he's kind of been hiding for a little while. But overall, I feel like AEW is, they're on a slow step up. I feel like there's a lot of things getting better with them, and I just hope that continues.
Do you think they're going to Swerve and Ospreay too soon?
Yes, I also I don't like that. Well, it's two things. One, I hate that Ospreay wins a belt, and then what is he going to do now? Is he going to work double duty? Because in the media scrum after Double or Nothing, he made the claim that he was looking forward to whoever he open challenge for his belt at Forbidden Door. Then the following days later at Dynamite, he wins the gauntlet match and then becomes number 1 contender. So he's been defending the belt left and right on Dynamite and Collision, but is it going to be champion versus champion for the AEW World Title? I'm assuming there's a chance he drops the belt beforehand. If not, I feel like it's already the cards already shown. If it's not, Swerve's going to win. If this one belt's on the line, it just doesn't make sense because why is Ospreay going to win? And at that point, might as well have his belt on the line. And then also, not that I can really think of somebody as formidable, but for Forbidden Door for the AEW World Title, I wish it was somebody coming through a Forbidden Door challenging for it. It's kind of wonky that it's an AEW guy versus AEW guy to me.
So when Forbidden Door got announced again, I was like, "Who's left?" So when I went to Oz, when they said Oz, I was like,
"I'll answer that."
That's
easy. No, you run with it first. Before I sell it.
Yeah. So when I heard it was Ospreay, I was like, "Okay, I guess," because he's an AEW guy, but people know him from New Japan, so I guess they can accept it. But like I said, I was like, at this point, who's left? They lost Okada. They lost Ospreay last year. What's
Jay
left?
White.
They lost Jay White. It's like, okay, all these guys are AEW guys now. What are you guys going to do? Because all these matches, they're not dream matches anymore because they're not in the other company anymore.
I don't know if there's a bad taste in the mouth with certain wrestlers in New Japan and they refuse to do the AEW shows, but the current I touted about these guys a couple weeks ago. The current variation of Bullet Club, they should be using those guys. Gabe Kidd and freaking David Finlay, who both can go out there and cut promos, can work the American style, and both of them are champions. One of them is David is the strong, or I think he's the never open weight champion, and then Gabe Kidd's the New Japan strong champion. So they got belts they could be defended or come challenge for an AEW title. I mean, the guys can go out there and cut promos. And the Japanese wrestlers over there, but I swear, 9 times out of 10, when you see them come over to face an AEW guy, oh, cool, yeah, this is niche, and you're seeing somebody international come, but they're always losing. And they don't even really go out there and cut a promo. I mean, some of these Americans or gaijins over there, they could go out there and at least cut a promo and maybe make a feud for a month. So these guys, they do put on social media they don't want to go to AEW, they don't want to come there to work. But I feel like for this 1 month, they should definitely dabble in it. I feel like they're skipping out on some money to be made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything else going on there?
I think overall that is about MJF makes his return to the ring next Wednesday. It's gonna open the show, commercial free. Him versus
Roosh.
Roosh. Yep.
Okay, cause I was wondering that didn't happen because I thought that was supposed to happen last week.
So I was getting nervous. I was starting to think that was going to be their Forbidden Door match, which that was going to piss me off as well. because he did say he's like, I'm gonna fight someone either from some random from New Japan or Mexico. So you know, Bruce being from Mexico, I was like, okay, please, are you telling me that like AEW guy versus the AEW guy again? But time will tell. So I guess MJF will have some type of random match, some type of squash match, I guess, against someone from another promotion.
Okay. Now, so Mercedes, she defended the TBS title tonight and retained, and that's all. That's all I'm up to date with, for the most part.
I guess she will have 2 belts in a couple weeks because I don't think it's just
I do. It's title for title.
It's title for title. So yes, she will finally get that New Japan strong title. Very cool.
Anything else for me?
That's it.
All right, guys. So, as always, subscribe on all podcast platforms. Make sure to hit subscribe to the podcast on the YouTube channel. Thumbs up. Turn on your post notifications. Leave a comment. Ringside Collectibles, code MMAN to save 10% off your order. I'm Alo Aaron Lloyd. That's my guy, Ek2Fly, Eric Shambiki. We'll see you guys soon.